Today we're talking about the Micro Dagger Extreme. This is our 500 round update on this. Stay tuned and let's discuss. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. VP Tactical here, and today we are discussing, as I mentioned, the Micro Dagger Extreme. I haven't had the chance to put my C1 through its paces yet. I just recently finished this Micro Dagger Extreme, and I'll kind of dive right in and talk a little bit about some of my experiences with it. And when I first got this, mind you, I was having an issue where even just racking the slide would stick it to the back like this without me even having to hold it, and it would stay there. And if I hit it, then the slide would actually rack forward. That was when I very first got the gun, even before I shot it, oiled it, anything else. And so since then, and even after just the first 100 rounds, that issue went away completely. Okay. And so this gun has gone through just some slight modifications. I did keep it stock for all of my trial testing. But just to kind of give you an idea of what I did in the first 100 rounds, I took it in its stock configuration. I was shooting pretty much 115 grain ammo through it. Notice, like I said, from once in a while, just with the slide breaking in, I think it might have just been some tolerances. Maybe it could have been Cerakoting, who knows. The slide, again, you know, that original issue with it sticking, I guess, if you will, and not holding the slide back on the last round. So all of those issues were pretty much absolved. Moving on, so that was the first, like I said, 100 rounds. And what I pretty much been shooting, I pulled these out so that way you folks could see this, was MagTech 115 grain, and then also CCI 115 grain. Neither one of these companies sponsor this channel, so this is just the ammo that I happened to pick up, and that was the most cost effective at the time for brass. And even too, as part of my testing, I did shoot some SIG jacketed hollow point. So I actually ran some through my standard extreme carry. And also my C1. Now, you'll notice on my channel that I did do a bit on suppressing this Micro Dagger. So after that first 100 rounds, I did slap in a 3CR barrel and did my testing on that. I ran about 120 rounds through it. So the internals, of course, were getting further broken in, but the barrel and that particular component was different, at least for that 120 rounds. So 100 rounds, again, stock configuration. I had some issues with the slide still kind of being sticky. Again, lubed the living snot out of it. When I first got the pistol, before I went out and shot it, did the 100 rounds, and then subsequently threw in the, again, threaded barrel, went through about 120 rounds with that. Never cleaned the gun. And then more recently, I ran approximately of the MagTech and CCI ammo, as well as a combination of these, actually not including this, in that 400 round count. I ran 400 rounds through this pistol straight, consecutively, without even cleaning it. And if you've ever shot a suppressed pistol, you know that these things are going to get dirty. And I didn't even shoot it that much. I mean, 120 rounds is not a lot to put through a pistol. And so this thing was an absolute dirt monster, dirt magnet, I guess, if you want to call it that. When I took this thing apart after that 400 round trial run, because mind you, it shot at 100 rounds unsuppressed, 120 rounds suppressed, and then 400 rounds unsuppressed, this thing was filthy. To say the least. And throughout that whole 400 round span, even this thing getting as hot as it was, and noticing that it was just running like a sewing machine, particularly on the back half or the back leg of that 400 round test. It was doing phenomenal, despite the fact that I hadn't cleaned this thing. Now, mind you, during that 400 round period, I did have 3 stovepipes. Quickly cleared them. I was back up and running. And those happened in right around the first to middle of that 400 round batch of ammo. And then I only had one instance of the slide where it did not lock back on the last round in the chamber. Well, after the last round was expelled. So, at any rate, those were my experiences. Given how much I have shot this thing, how much it's changed, and again, now the fact that it's fluid and smooth, I plan to add this to my rotation, my CCW rotation, CPL. Some of you folks may not, some are real particular and say, well, if it had any sort of issue within the first 500 rounds, I'm not doing anything. I'm a firm believer, at least give it that first 500 rounds, let it break in. Obviously continue to shoot the gun, right? This isn't something where, we just do 500 rounds, for example, and then, all right, we're just going to put it away. We don't shoot it again. No, you should still be out there practicing with your pistol to make sure that you're proficient with it. And obviously, if there's any issues that surfaced or arised at that point after you've done your 500 round period, break-in, if you will, then, obviously, that may give additional consideration as whether or not you should carry it. But as of now, again, I do plan to add it into my rotation, given the fact that I've got a little over 600 rounds, 620, not including, again, the jacketed hollow point ammo. And again, this was SIG's ammo that I had picked up a while back and have been running through that. And it fed no problem. It didn't have any issues whatsoever. There are differences, between their standard magazines, FYI, as well as the micro slicks. And I think I talked about this in one of my previous reviews. These standard ones seem to be a little bit more stiff when it comes to using the slide release and, just in loading them in general. But I did notice, I guess a good point to bring up, that these micro mags are extremely, extremely stiff. You got to use these quite a bit to get these springs to break in. I can't get these in all the way up to 15 with just my hands without really wrenching on this thing. I typically will use one of those mag loaders for that purpose. And then, I'm able to get them loaded, obviously, at that point. So, any rate, that's pretty much my feedback on the Micro Dagger Extreme Carry 500 round update. And I will have a follow-up video for the C1, again, once I have more range time behind it, most likely this weekend. We'll see once I get some free time and I'm able to get out there and do some additional shooting. So, at any rate, hopefully you like this video. Hit that like and subscribe button if you want to help support my channel. As always, be safe, stay vigilant, and we'll see you in the next video.